We are calling this special meeting to order. Here's my gavel. Thank you, Robert. And we're going to go right into closed session. So I'm going to ask everybody to leave the room. Except
about an hour.
You told me that 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You want us to call you on a cell?
Can do.
Yeah, why don't you just call me whenever you get. Thank you.
And are we streaming live with the board here?
Robert's taking care of that right now for us.
Okay.
Where is that streaming?
That's an emergency operations simulation that's going on citywide, I think statewide actually. They're doing a hurricane drill, and so that's a live feed to our port, and there's some other outlying areas.
And we will call this to order, and we're in a...
We need to take a look at that, especially if they're going up and down.
But
Is my
the
only
city
concern.
would be the ones placing them. As the amphitheater management company, they would be the ones bringing out their boom truck to raise them up and install them.
And my point is, usually on something like this, there is more than a year warranty, or you can buy an additional warranty, for wear and tear. I mean, it will say on it, it's good for this amount of time, we're going to do it, but I think the answer would be for me to see what the cost of insuring them would be, so that if they get torn or worn or whatever, because they're going to take a lot of abuse.
Mr. Baker.
Usually when we're talking about anything like this, $3,000 or whatever amount, we always start asking, where is the money going to come from? Yeah.
This money has been identified in each of your COR reports. As a windscreen, there was $20,000 identified for it. The original estimate was without the 6 panels that went around the very top, and they were at $19,000. So there's an additional $10,000 for those 6 panels that were highly recommended that we add. So the $20,000 is there. The other 10, we can look at our contingencies, which are coming back, or operational funds. To
Which we
fund
don't
this,
have.
Which, well, we have $175,000 in the bank, as well as some other small.
What is our timing on this right now?
We would like to have them for June 9th, and the manufacturer said if this is approved, he will have them here for the concert June 9th.
Move approval.
Second.
Discussion. Ms. Carter.
I just want to make sure and put it on record that we need to make sure that once this board makes this decision, in the future, it's going to come up, something's going to happen to these panels, that we make sure that they're insured, or find out what the cost is, and make sure it's covered for everything, Ed. I mean, really. Because to replace them, it's going to cost you $50.
Not question.
For Ms. Scott.
I know the warranty is just for a year, but what's the, and I may have missed it, what's the life of the actual?
I can get you the specs. It's 16-ounce weather-tight awning fabric. So that's my understanding. There's several different weights, and this is the heaviest weight.
We need to see that.
For the fabric. It's substantial.
Just another thing from experience is that they got to put them up dry. They can't roll them up wet, because that's where you get all the mildew stuff.
You're right.
The city's got it. They'll have guys that know that, I'm sure.
Very good. All right, motion second on the floor. Any other discussion? Mr. Murding?
No.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Any other business?
Yes.
Mr. Murding.
I'd like to ask the chairman, what's the amount of money that the committee has raised for the grand opening?
100 and we had a new number today. Counting in kind, we're at 120,000.
Two things.
You want to double that?
No, but I did want to say publicly what I said to our chairman last week. In my opinion, he gets a serious attaboy, and those are few and far between in this community.
Well, thank you.
And I have one other question. I wonder if the city would have raised $120,000 for private.
Well, it's been some of that. Our budget is less than that. Our budget was ended up being interesting you say that, because the original budget that came down from some people that might have been in the city was $400,000. I said, I don't know who y'all want as a band, but that's impossible, and we don't need to be that big. We're going to have a great celebration for $108,000. It's more than that, in that we got some in-kind just recently from Cat Country and some others that are going to run some ads for us. So we didn't have that in our budget. We were going to spend that, but they're giving it to us. Councilwoman Myers, did you have something before we adjourned?
I didn't have to go down to public forum. I mean, I was here
That's fine. We kicked you out. We were doing you know what we were doing? We were doing something on the lawsuit, but I will call on you, but I'm going to have to leave because I've got a conference call. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Baker.
Ed can probably answer my questions anyway. Y'all just want to leave? Okay, thank you. I read an article in the paper this morning. Some of you may have read it, misuse of maritime parking. Did y'all read that article? Yeah. And it is something that has concerned me, and I've brought it up to the board over the years, is the problem of handicap parking. And I just wanted to know, when it's my understanding that people who have reserved tickets were also, that included the handicap parking, or people purchase those parking spaces just for the Wahoo games? Can you explain to me? I'm just trying to find out what's going on with the parking, or the handicap parking.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. And I'll explain to the best of my knowledge. I would refer you to the Neighborhood Services Department, who's managing this. The annual parking pass, which is just for the baseball games, is sold separately, and you do not have to be a season ticket holder to buy one of those. And the handicap spaces, you obviously can purchase that for the games, but you have to provide proof of handicap parking ability.
Okay, are all the parking spaces over there, were they all purchased?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so this person is saying that he wasn't allowed to park there because they were privately owned. Does that apply only for Wahoo games, or is that all the time? I mean, for special events?
It depends on the event. If an event chooses to incur the additional cost of reserved parking, they can do that, but they have to pay for each parking space. It's a slightly discounted rate, but you do have to pay to reserve. If you have a special event, let's say you have a family reunion in the park and you want to just allow open parking, and if parking is available, that's fine, whether there's anything else going on. Then if there's another event that's paid, you would have to pay. If there's not, it's free. Mm-hmm. So if you went over today, the parking is free.
Okay,
until 4 o'clock.
So the people who paid $700 for reserved parking spaces, that was just for the Wahoo games, right?
Just for the game, yes, ma'am. We start emptying that parking lot 1 hour from now.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to clarify, is that $700 is just for the games.
That is correct.
So when a game's not going on, then that doesn't apply.
That is correct.
Unless somebody has
unless someone has paid to reserve the parking lot for a special event.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, that's what I wanted to clarify. Okay, thank you.
Could I?
Yeah.
My understanding in neighborhood services, but the plan that was shown to the board, you know, the city police and whatever that we're having to pay for their time, it's my understanding they said that they were allowing vehicles to travel right up to the front of this, you know, the box office, mm-hmm. and drop handicapped people off. Now, if the handicapped person is driving, then that's, you know, obviously that's a different situation. But if someone is driving a handicapped person, then they can drive right up to the front. Then they have to secure their mm-hmm. own parking, whether, you know, whatever. But they can, you know, as far as the handicapped access, it was represented to us that they would have the right to be driven right to the front of the stadium.
Dr. Jones and Mr. Smith.
Did you say that they could purchase a handicapped space?
If you have a handicap placard, you can purchase a season parking pass in one of the handicapped spaces.
For the handicapped space?
That's correct.
And is that just for Wahoo games?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I got the impression this was a letter to the editor that I read this one. That's the one you.
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm referring to that one.
I got the impression that the individual paid to park in that lot, but then when he tried to pick the handicap parking, he was told that he couldn't park there. Is that the same impression you had? I thought the person paid
That's
to.
the letter.
Right. I thought the letters, and it's my impression, if you pay to park in that lot, that all of those handicap spots are probably not reserved. I'm sure there are one or two, but I would think you pay, and then as long as you paid, you could park in it. I thought the letter was a little, I didn't understand why they would not let the person park in a handicap spot after they had access.
That doesn't allow you to park in a handicapped spot.
Correct, and
Right, but if you pay and you have the proper sticker,
Then you can. If
And-
there's one
and I thought this
available,
person-
but if there's no handicapped available, it's just like at a shopping mall. You know, if the handicapped spaces are full,
I don't think they were full. I think they told them that they were reserved. And unless they have, let's say if they have 20 handicap spots and 20 people are paid for them, but I doubt. I thought it was just handled improperly, but I could be wrong.
my understanding, Mr. Smith, is the handicap spaces are mostly sold.
They're sold?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
For Wahoo
Because
Games.
for Wahoo Games.
Well, I just didn't have that impression that many handicapped people would buy those spots. It's my experience that normally you over-designate handicap.
It was to assure that they would have.
Ms. Scott,
Okay,
the
great,
parking.
super.
you had a question?
Yeah, because this has kind of brought a situation to light where now, listening to this discussion, I'm not sure what I'm have to do this evening. I have some out-of-town guests, 2 carloads of handicapped individuals who's going to need not 2 carloads, but 2 cars that are transporting handicapped individuals. What do I tell them? Because obviously they won't have season passes, but obviously they're in walkers and need assistance and have heart problems and all of that. And they have their out-of-state placard, but what do I tell them in terms of parking?
The first advice, Ms. Scott, is to arrive early.
Well, that will
Obviously.
do.
Enter into Villers Street, drive directly to the front door of the stadium and unload your passengers, and then seek out the most convenient parking, whether you wish to pay for the unsold spaces in the on-property parking lot or across the street at City Hall or one of the other private lots. On-street also is available and free, but those cars start showing up for games right about now. It's mostly, as you can imagine, it's the staff from the baseball team who are not allowed to park on property, so they fill up the on-street spaces pretty quickly.
Okay.
Any
I
more
just thought
questions
about
on this subject? Anything more from you, Ms. Meyer?
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I think, is that a question, Audra?
Oh, well, are we going to talk about the grand opening? I had some questions about it. Are we
Well, I
finished talking about that part, the parking part? I have a question about the grand opening.
Please.
I went to the meeting on yesterday, and I'm glad that I did. I was enlightened, but I had some concerns, and since it's only 3 weeks away, I wanted to voice them and ask Ed to make clear. There's a lot of events going on, and so I know this is, and Ed, help me. Is this a Wahoo's event? Is this a City of Pensacola event, or this is a CMPA event? I need to know.
It is a joint event of all 3, and it is co-chaired by a triumvirate of city, team, and CMPA officials.
Okay, well, and it was brought to my attention, there's going to be food sales, right? It's some food sales?
Inside the stadium, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so,
As well as external vendors.
yeah, so we're accountable to get those dollars, and we have a contract and agreement. Who gets the money from the food sales, and where would they be?
For CMPA events at the stadium, we receive 25% of the proceeds from all sales, gross,
inside,
inside. External, for a food vendor, it's a $100 fee to be a vendor, and that's just a flat fee. There's no percentage of sales or anything that comes back to us per vendor application.
Okay,
So
we
and
do
I
get
believe
some.
they said between 10 and 20 vendors, so a couple $1,000.
Okay, and the other thing is, on the marketing, some dollars came from the TDC, and I was totally unaware that they were earmarked for certain things, and things got changed, I understand. Can you just bring me up to date on that?
I don't know the exact allocation of those funds.
Okay. And the reason why I'm saying that is, it went from, they were thinking initially, it's my understanding, that they were going to pay for some marketing and outreach, and now it's pretty much free to the, what they want to do is free. They want everyone to either be a sponsor, a media sponsor, or do it for PSAs and free.
I do know the vast majority of cash dollars we received have gone to pay for the entertainment for the day.
So what I wanted to do is, and I want to make sure the board's okay with this, they got cat country, but I want to make sure that all the other media out there helps us get to the different layers of our communities to invite them. And we're 3 weeks to that event, and I didn't see yesterday where we had a plan to do that. And I want to know if who's in charge of the marketing?
Mr. Cosson, Derek Cosson, the city's public information officer.
Okay, so did he give you guys a plan on what he is going to do in the next 3 weeks? No.
No, ma'am.
Did he give you a plan on how they're going to tell the whole community in the diverse groups? No.
No, ma'am. We did a press conference, we've released the posters, and we've received a great deal of free press from that. And
I was kind of recalling in our last meeting that Collier said that there was not any paid marketing.
That's to the best of my knowledge. We've received the in-kind. We know in the next week or so that the radio stations, Cat Country and My 106, will begin their advertising of it. The News Journal has provided some gratis marketing, but there is no paid marketing program.
Okay, so what I would like to do is, so that we make sure we go back to those people and thank them and invite them, I'm going to put as much as my effort to go back to the minority community, those leaders, those churches, those small people who feel like this is their park, and give them a personal invite from this board to come out and be with us on that day, because this is the community Maritime Park. I think that it's very important that we do that. And this is our opportunity to say thank you and make this park belong to everyone, because I don't want to make a misstep and then not do it, because it just kind of fell between the cracks because we didn't have a plan. And I didn't get the feeling that we had one.
Well, my suggestion, in addition to doing what you've committed to do, if you give her Cousins, or whatever his name is, contact information, I think you know, as a member of this board, as well as the head of the EBO, ought to, you know, just make an appointment with him and
I just want to
ask him, you know, for his plan, because I think it's.
And the reason why I'm asking the board, because I won't move in that direction, because you know I'm staying my lines. But I just don't. This is the event, and a lot of people think it's our way of including the whole community. If we don't make sure we do everything we can, then.
I'm in total agreement, but I don't think we have a quorum to take any official action. That would just be my suggestion is, you know, for you to, you know,
Well, I expressed my
he's the
concern
city's,
yesterday.
you know, or the committee's, the triumvirate's designated person. I think that's where you've got to go.
Right. I would just ask also, when you speak with him, and you talk to these minority stations, WRNE 106.1, ask them if they want to give in-kind advertisement or support the same as these others. They probably just were not asked or somehow missed the opportunity, because I'm sure that they would be willing to do that and get their name and everything
Well,
out
you
there.
know, probably a little late to go on a poster, but
Yeah, it's true, it wouldn't make it there, but at least they can advertise. And I've heard some of Mrs. Carter's ads or whatever on WRNE, and they're good, and they open the door to minorities coming out.
Well, what I want us to be on the same page, because got a little bit of pushback, and I wasn't involved, about, you know, paid media versus non-paid, which I don't mind. It's whatever the committee wanted. But I didn't think they had the sensitivity to understand this is the only really big event that we as a board and as a city and everybody, we should put that effort out there if we can. And,
totally agree.
and even if I have to go over and beyond and do it, I want to make sure that we don't ever look like we didn't give it our best. So I just want everybody to work with me on the community to do that in this last 3 weeks.
Right.
And
Well,
I just,
if you don't get positive, you know, commitment from Costa, I think you talk to Ed, and I bet you Ed would talk to Collier, and, you know, and some pressure would come down from on high. You know, I mean, if it's the city's, and they're part of it, he's working for the city, he's a salaried employee of the city, I suspect that he would be.
You'd be very careful not to avoid sunshine, to avoid sunshine complications, but of course he would.
okay. So,
Oh, yes, I see.
so what say you? So Ed is okay, we'll meet with him, and then we'll just grab a message that everyone will use, no matter who it is.
Mr. Costin's a member of that committee, and he takes his direction from the committee, so.
So is it Bruce that I talk to first? I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
I think you have to talk to Ed, and then Ed can talk to the chairman.
I'll
Yeah.
mention it to the chairman.
And I'm trying to help. If you
Oh,
tell
I
me to go
understand.
and sit down
I
somewhere,
completely
I got
understand.
lots of stuff to do. I'm just trying to help. All right, and we only have 3 weeks, so it's got to like start as soon as possible.
Well, you know, the stations, you did arrange that some stations did get some money, not a lot, for paid advertising, right?
Yeah,
So, I mean-
I have a little bit of dollars left that, I'm sure they're just wanting to be included.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
think it's
Well,
just a matter of
I'm just saying
extending.
that it might be receptive, as Mr. Smith says, as far as, the fact that to doing
Yeah,
some
sure.
limited amount of public service stuff, in kind, whatever, but they did, I don't think we paid any money to Cat Country.
No, sir, and in fact, they requested in their initial proposal to us to provide the marketing they will provide, an exclusive right to be the exclusive media partner, and we rejected that, wanting to be as inclusive as possible and have other opportunities.
Yeah, I think it's just a matter of them knowing that things did change and that this is what we're doing, so we'll be fair with everyone is how I would like to frame
Well, I
it.
think that point, I was unaware of that, of course, I'm not on the committee.
I wasn't either.
But the fact that they asked for it, but that they didn't
That's
get
a big
it.
deal, yeah.
So that, the idea is it is open to everybody. So now it's open to them, they need to take advantage of it.
And if any of your, radio opportunities would like to come and set up a tent and broadcast that day, we have space set aside for Cat Country, My 106, and Radio 1620, who are going to do live broadcasts that day.
Well, I'm gonna just pose it to everybody and ask them to go
So
through
that they
you.
can, if they want to do that.
Join Radio Row.
Does anybody in this quorumless group object to a adjournment?
Oh, no.
I was glad we can't
brother,
make a
Get a cup
motion
of
because
coffee
we
and I'll
don't
be
have a
going
quorum.
ashore.
But we didn't vote on that.